What's up, brother?
Just call to the
What's good?
Click it. All right, say something real quick.
What's good? Can you hear me?
It's still coming through. You know what? I'll work with it. Fuck it.
with it. That sounds great to me.
Sounds good to me.
Hella good. What's
How
good,
you doing?
guys? Man, I'm all right, man. Just chilling. You know, blessed to be living, you know what I'm saying, in this crazy fucking time. You know
Yes, sir. Welcome to 2021. We out of the 2020 now.
right. I mean, but I don't know. It seems like it's getting worse, but I mean, people like me, bro, I feel like I've already seen this coming, and most black people that are woke, we probably seen this coming for a while. Not necessarily this exactly, but just some stupid shit to pop off just to prove our point that we've been trying to prove for the last like what 2, 3, 4, 500 years. So I don't know. I guess just to start it off, I'm Nathan Nice. This is the Kitchen Couch Podcast. You feel me? I'm on the couch chilling right now.
Is it in the kitchen?
Huh?
Is it in the kitchen?
Oh well, the kitchen's right around the corner.
Hey, I was like, it's a good idea to put a kitchen, put a couch in the kitchen. That's a good idea.
No, I mean it's kind of like more of the idea, kind of using food to distract people and to be able to talk about other things. Like Anthony Bourdain was somebody who really did that. Somebody I really look after. And you think of Anthony Bourdain as a food guy, but you don't necessarily think of him only as a food guy. He was a political guy too. And he's somebody that I really look up to. So I kind of, it's like the kitchen couch. Like, we never ate, if you guys are from where I'm from, pretty much we didn't really eat at a dinner table like that. We eating on the couch, you know what I mean? Just talking about shooting the breeze so that's kind of where the idea kind of came from.
I like that. It's a good concept.
And I also be whipping up some shit, So, so who am I speaking with right now?
Myself, I'm General Avanayo.
7 the Panther. You know what I'm saying? From the original Black Panthers of Tacoma, Washington. Thanks for having us on, bro. Like I didn't even know. I've heard your name before. You know what I'm saying? But I wasn't really sure what the whole script of everything was. So I definitely appreciate you having us on.
Giving us awesome.
Reach out to the people a little bit. Definitely.
Man, so give me a little bit of backstory on the Black Panther Party as far as Seattle goes, because I know that we're actually from the original chapter. We were talking about it yesterday, and a lot. That's one thing you could really say about Seattle, Tacoma, and all that. We actually are a branch of the original, so just speak on that a little bit. And I want to know you got the history behind it as far as up here.
I believe that to our historian here.
Okay, so it's funny that you asked that question. I'm a co-executive producer of a docuseries called Cultureless, and we just did our second episode on the Seattle Black Panther Party. So we interviewed Aaron Dixon and Elmer Dixon, who were the two jump off members, I guess you could say, of the Seattle Black Panther Party. They were in, a couple of other organizations, SNCC and some other things. They went down to Oakland when not Bobby Seale, I'm sorry, when Lil Bobby Hutton got murdered. They went down to Oakland for the funeral and decided that they wanted to start a chapter in Seattle. They came back and set up shop. Then Bobby Seale came up and gave them the stamp of approval. For those people who feel like there's no signs of the Seattle Black Panther, the Black Panthers will still remain. Many of the members still live in Seattle. The Carolyn Downs Medical Center, which is over on in the CD, was originally started by the Black Panther Party. Carolyn Downs was a Black Panther. She was a member of the Black Panther Party. So a lot of people don't realize the Seattle chapter was the first chapter outside of California that was ever established. There was Oakland and Los Angeles, then Seattle. So just the history and the impact that they've had on the community is incredible, man. Like if you just look around, a lot of people that I've met in the CD since I moved to Washington are a part of that lineage. So some of the guys that you see who are active in the community now are the product of the Black Panther Party's existence in Seattle. They passed it on to Garfield High School was like their hub. So anybody that went to Garfield, anybody that's from that area was probably touched in some way, shape, form, or fashion by the Black Panther Party in Seattle. Yeah.
Mm, I didn't know that, but I mean, I kind of grew up everywhere in Seattle, a mixture of the CD and the South End. And OG told me you're kind of from where you went to high school, so I guess technically the South End. But I remember growing up around, you know, Garfield and having that feeling a little bit, kind of just I don't know. It seems like we're a little bit different up here. I was having this conversation with a dude who kind of recently he's a rapper up here, but he fucks around with a lot of people in Cali, and he was saying, I was telling him, I was like, I think we think just a little bit differently, and that's no disrespect to Cali, but I feel like I was like, you grow up in Cali, you inherit your problems, like you inherit a lot of stuff, whereas up here, I feel like we see a little bit of the bigger picture sometimes. So just to speak on that. But that's really crazy because I've always looked up to the Black Panther Party and the Last Poets and the original Gangster Disciples and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And um, what was something that you know you you might have speculated about the Black Panthers before actually being associated with them?
Myself, um, just from the way that people talked about it, that made them sound wild. Like they get buck on anybody at any point for anything related to race, and that was kind of a little bit of a magnet to me because I'm always out here facing that kind of shit. I'm seeing this shit. Like you can walk down the street at any given day in any given city, and you're gonna see something pop off at some point. And I might not be loud and rowdy, but it's there, and I don't like that shit. So I was like, well, they don't like that shit neither. So let me go ahead and look into this more. You start delving into it. It's like, oh, it's not quite like that. They actually buck on the ones that really need to get bucked on, like them Karens.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
So
right.
I definitely thought that there was something that it was, and it's not that. It's a real complicated mix. Nah, yeah, that was one
Yeah,
of mine.
definitely. I didn't have a lot of speculation really. My father was a Black Panther, so a lot of what I know about the Panthers I learned firsthand from him. Um, Also, ever since I was young, I've always been a studying the Panther Party. So a lot of the things that I heard that were um, events that may have been outliers. You know what I'm saying? Something that may have taken place, but that wasn't part of the regular program of the Panther Party. I'm always quick to dispel that with other people who say, "Oh, this is what they were about." No, that was a one-time thing. You know what I'm saying? But some of the things that happened later in the party, I was unaware of because my father he got out probably around 71, 72, somewhere around there. So um, he said that, when he was in the party, this is how it was. Now, the things that happened beyond 72 into the 80s, up to Huey's death at 89, um, a lot of those things I was unaware of. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the things that they ended up devolving into because of all of the pressure that was on them from the government. Some of the things that the criminality that ended up becoming a part of their infrastructure, I was unaware of that. Because early on people tried to paint them as criminals. However, that wasn't the case. But later on, it kind of became the case that's what was going on. When Huey tried to take over the drug trade in Oakland, a lot of people don't know Felix Mitchell. If you're aware who Felix Mitchell is, he was one of the biggest drug dealers in the Bay, probably the biggest drug dealer in the Bay. And him and Huey went to war for a little while because Huey was trying to take over the drug trade. So that is a smear of sorts on the Panther legacy, but that was really once the party had been shrunk down to just being in Oakland again. Um, Even in the midst of all of that, though, they had the Liberation School. They were running people for public office. So there was a strange dichotomy that existed late in the party. You know what I'm saying? So I was unaware of that. So like a lot of the stuff that people said early on, I was able to dispel, but then I learned that later it really did kind of turn into that. So um,
Mm.
it hurt a little, but it is what it is.
Right, right. And I mean, it's kind of like the Crips and the Bloods where, the original meaning was about the revolution and progress or, just actually having protection from whoever and whatever wants to come into your neighborhood. A lot of the time, 90% of the time it was white people snatching black and brown babies in the neighborhood, police coming spraying people, whatever, whatever. And so that, that was the original starting. So when you kind of lose your leaders, you kind of see people go rogue a little bit and kind of come up with different subsections. So it's good to see that, work you guys are working back to, and back to the original, meeting, especially like I said, the Seattle chapter being one of the original, And so I was gonna say, for somebody who doesn't know what you guys do, what would you guys say to them? Like just the average person.
Um, Me personally, I would say it's very simple. It's very simple work in the community. That's the main thing. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the other stuff that people associate with Panthers, like, oh, they're marching with guns and they da da this and they this and that. I said, yeah, but that was never the most important thing. Like, if you ever did your homework on the party, you would know that the programs that serve the community and the things that they were trying to do, specifically the school in and of itself, and running Panthers for public office, all of those things were far more important than guns. The guns were a symbol; they were a means to an end.
No,
Um,
factual.
yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? So like it was Huey even said, this isn't about us grabbing guns and going to shoot it out with the police. This is simply to let them know that we have a means of self-defense and we will defend ourselves. However,
Right.
behind that curtain of self-defense, we're going to develop programs for the community so that people can survive. They were called survival programs because they were programs that were put in place for people to survive uh, the stretch of time that lasts between now and when the revolution finally comes.
Like the WIC program.
If you get free breakfast at school for your kid, the Panthers are responsible for that. If you have a free clinic in your neighborhood, the Panthers are responsible for that because the government wasn't doing any of that until the party
Right.
started. When the party did it and they saw how much the people gravitated towards what they were doing, um, they were like, oh, we can't have that because, of course, J. Edgar Hoover's main objective was to prevent the rise of a Black Messiah.
Yeah.
And how else are you going to be a Messiah to somebody unless you're saving their life? And the Black Panther Party
Factual.
was making lives, you know what I mean? So, and that's pretty much where we are, man. Like the main programs that we're involved in right now are around getting justice for Manny Ellis, who was murdered by the Tacoma Police Department back in March of last year. Um,
Wow.
Also, eviction rate is extremely high. So, there's a lot of programs right now around evictions and are trying to make sure people maintain decent housing. So we're definitely involved in that. And just educating the people because if they don't know what their problems are, if they don't know what they should be seeing behind the veil, then they don't know how to fight it. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
that's pretty cool.
Right.
Um,
Right.
Personally, 100% what he said, but mine has a little bit of a spin on it, and I wrote it out. I'll read it to you. It's a little easier to hear it when I read what I wrote, so it's trying to come out top. So to me, the Black Panthers are openly objective nonconformists to the white supremacist norms that have been around since the founding of America. Because it's all bad.
It's all bad.
Yeah. So we work to rebuild our communities, strengthen our communities, educate our communities, bring knowledge to our communities, financial wealth, access to healthcare, access to the necessities, and to unite our communities. Our group, our not branch, for the branch, are the original Black Panthers, hold the original 10 core values while maintaining their legacy to the best of our abilities. While we lay the work for future generations to continue the legacy into the future, keeping and guarding our people's history and wisdom. And I think that's the best way to describe it to someone who don't understand what we represent.
Mm. That's deep. That's heavy. I mean, I'm fucking with that, Um, especially right now when, you know, you feel like, I don't know, it seems like right now a lot of people are trying to say end of times, and it seems like there's so much restlessness and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys remember, I think it was maybe in June when we actually, CHOP was going on in Seattle, but then in Snohomish, they actually had a counter protest with, Proud Boys. I don't even like that name, just white supremacists and white mediocrity supporters, basically.
Yeah.
And I was, but they were fully allowed to march with guns. No police were there, making sure they were drinking outside with guns, which I thought, you're not supposed to have that. open, obviously it's an open carry state, but it's not open carry in my hand state. But then obviously they let white people cook with that. They don't let us cook with that, you know. So I don't know if you guys were aware of, like, you know, just Washington State legacy, just kind of how it's so mixed. Like, obviously we're a very protesting state, but even the racism here, I'm just learning about, and how the different ways Washington State alone has, and, you know, even Oregon is very similar, where they tried to, you know, brush up their, you know, black past. Either, and I don't mean black as in dark, I mean black as in people of color, the past, you know, they tried to sweep it under the rug. So I was gonna say, you know, in the midst of feeling like so much, you know, helplessness or whatever, you see, you know, Karen spazzing out on you, you see, you know, Kevin spazzing out on you, you know, not wearing a mask or whatever. How do you handle that in 2021?
Take a deep breath first.
Yeah, that's got to be the first thing, because my initial response is destroy whatever's in front of me. You know, that's the first thing I think. But then I also have to understand that we have to be the beacon for some people who may not have a concept of how to deal with those things on their own. And there may be some people who aren't able to destroy what's in front of them. So you have to give them other tools to use. A lot of times the best way to combat ignorance is with knowledge. And if they're coming at you with something that is untrue, something that's not on point, the best way to combat that is to be completely on point and completely transparent with what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Okay, I understand that what you're speaking to me right now is coming from a place of hurt and insecurity inside yourself, because you feel like you're in danger. But you feel like you're in danger for all the wrong reasons. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm in danger because not only are you white, but everyone who's going to respond to your call for help is also going to be white. And I'm automatically going to be seen as the antagonist, regardless of what the situation is. Mm-hmm. So we have to be capable of teaching the people. And that's another thing that, you know, that we're talking about. Teaching people how to deal with the police when they pull you over. Teaching people how to deal with Karen and Kevin when they come in your face with false allegations and want to call the police on you, and so forth and so on. And more importantly than that, how to deal with the Karen and Kevin that you work with, who control your income because you work with them. You know what I'm saying? And that's the part of the thing that most people never take into account. A lot of us don't work for Black businesses. We work for companies that are run by people who really don't care about our well-being. They care about how much money we can make them, how well we keep their business running to make them richer. So in the midst of all of that, I think the most important thing to remember is to always have a level head when dealing with it. Don't allow your emotions to take over. Logic is the most powerful tool we have in combating all of that, realistically speaking.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean that was a great answer. No, I mean that's crazy. That's cool, because I feel like, you know, I call Seattle microaggression city, because you know, you go some other places, you go to the South, you go to the East Coast, they kind of let you know how they feel off the rip, like. And it's kind of like, okay, we don't like your people over here. Okay, well, I can go to where my people are liked. Boom. It is what it is. Whereas in Washington, it's such a mixed bag. You know, the way, you know, the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant culture here, and the you know, heavy on the Protestant, you know, with the shame and the passive aggressive politics, heavy on the aggressive part. You know, it's just such a different type of racism that happens out here. And I'm always big and vocal about that, because a lot of people assume that this place is liberal, you know. I don't know if you guys want to speak on, you know, the politics and how, you know, what parties do you guys align with? Obviously, you know, not to get, obviously the Black Panther Party is a party of its own, but you know, as far as like what's going on right now in the White House and the Senate floor and all that, how do you guys feel about that?
Personally, I don't align with red or blue. They're both broken. They're both crooked. They're both corrupt. Neither one of them have our favor in mind. Neither one of them could understand our plight, the shit we go through on a daily. They couldn't relate to us if we gave it to them in a book. Told them, read this. It'll tell you everything about us. We as a people literally just lost in a lose-lose battle. I mean, Trump, you're gonna lose. Uh, Biden, you're gonna lose. They're both pedophiles. They're both racists. They don't understand us. Fuck them off. That's
Yeah.
why.
And the only difference between the two is with Trump, you lose and it's ugly. With Biden,
Yeah.
you lose and they try to make it look good. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
only difference between the two. As a matter of fact, my coffee cup is my perfect concept of how I feel about red and blue. They're all on the same team. Purple and red, red and blue make purple.
Yep.
They're all on the same team. You know what I'm saying? One bird, two different wings. That's all it is.
Yep.
Mostly speaking, I don't align with any political party. If I align with any party, it would be the People's Party. Salute to the People's Party of Seattle. What up, Nikita Oliver? How are you? But even in that, we have to be aware of the political parties that we do align with. But, you know, I'm not going to knock a person for being a Democrat. I'm not going to knock a person for being a Republican. It is what it is. Your personal values in politics are your personal values. I don't really care about that. Right. But at the end of the day, the only thing I care about is, do your personal values attack me personally as a Black man and the people who are part of my community? Because if they do, now we have a problem. And not only that, but, and this is no disrespect to the LGBTQ community. I love y'all. No question about it, because a lot of y'all look just like me. I love y'all. But you cannot try to put that battle in the front of every battle involving Black people. Because at the end of the day, you're gonna win if Black people get this. So just hold off. Hold on for just a minute and let us do this for Black people. Then we all win. Then we can go back and address what this is. But you can't put your battle in the same context as our battle, because you can hide being gay if you want. I can never hide being Black. I can never hide it no matter what I do. So, and that's no disrespect to them. Like I said, I fight for them just like I fight for Black people, because I feel like any type of discrimination on any side is wrong. Right. When I hear Black people talk about, oh man, fuck white people and that, I'm like, cuz nah, it ain't that ain't it. Because I know I can count out 5 white people that I know right now that will stand in front of me before the police get to me and take those bullets before 5 Black people that I know. So don't say F white people. Don't tell me that. I'm not buying it. The Panthers weren't about racism. And Fred Hampton very clearly said, you don't fight racism with racism, you fight racism with solidarity. And solidarity can be gleaned through politics if we take the People's Party, or even if we just make the Panther Party of an actual political party and form under that umbrella. You know what I'm saying? You take all of that out of it. You know what I mean?
All my kids in the background playing Fortnite. So what he was just saying, I'm gonna jump back to the two wings on a bird, because I was talking about the other day. If you lean too hard to the right or too hard to the left, you're gonna tilt that plane and crashes. Right. They can stop that shit. We need to get right back to the cabin and focus on the people, not the wings.
No, that's factual. That's factual. You know, speaking on that, you know, I posted something. I think you liked it. And it was about, you know, purging myself of my own inner white supremacy, and how everybody has a little bit of it in them, especially being indoctrinated into this country. You know, it doesn't matter if you come up from the hood or the burbs. We're taught not to trust each other. We're taught not to fuck with each other, or knock another man's hustle and then go big up Bill Gates, or just, you know what I mean? Just something like that. And so I kind of like, you know, you know, I'm a big community, big advocate, for, you know, in 2021, Black people and psychedelics. So I'm in these spaces where, you know, I believe that psychedelics could be actually, you know, obviously with the research that we were taken from during the war on drugs, with actual guidance and knowledge and science, some of these medications can actually be respected sciences instead of, you know, drugs. We threw all these things into a bag. Boom. It doesn't matter about the drugs. We got to attack these people for being criminals. And now we're realizing that our jails are packed to the brim with people who just have drugs on them. And that's not right, when we need to be attacking rapists, murderers, killers, molesters, arsonists, you know, the people who are violent and repeat offenders. Like, pretty much, it's very simple. You know, and so during a trip I had, I was watching this movie. Oh man, it was Tobey Maguire movie anyway, and it kind of had this background about white supremacy, but it wasn't about it. Pleasantville, that's what it's called, Pleasantville. and I was tripping balls, and I was watching this movie, and I couldn't finish it because I was like, this movie is literally about white supremacy. And I just kind of broke down. I had a whole vision, but then I was just like, okay, well, part of it is having happiness. So when you say your kid's back there playing Fortnite, that's part of the rebellion right there.
Yeah.
They don't like the number one way that they hurt us is taking our pride and our joy. And
Thanks.
part of that vision I had was, you guys know the movie Amistad, right?
Yes.
So a fucked up movie. I don't recommend anybody watching that. Not in 2021 unless you really don't know what's going on. But
Yeah.
they made us watch that shit in middle school, which is another way of indoctrination. But especially you don't know everything. But I had this vision that way back in those days, there was only indentured servitude and death. People didn't really do slavery in the sense of like how they did in the transatlantic union or transatlantic slave, trade. And so when we got off of those slave ships, our heads were held so high because we're like, fuck it, you're either gonna kill us. It is what it is. Like, we thought we were sentenced to death. We didn't know that we'd be indoctrinated to a whole new wave of some other bull, sick, twisted, maniacal bullshit. And so that was kind of part of me in purging myself of like my inner white supremacy, because I was like, yeah, obviously, there's millions and millions of slaves and millions of people that ran away, millions of people that fought and killed, there's such a narrative that we didn't fight back. And I was like, no, we had so much pride all the way till now. So I'm just tapping into that sort of. And you were speaking also on like, I don't know if you kind of nodded at like, a little bit of white Christianity there. And I'm kind of on that board too, where it's just like, we have this white savior mentality, like, oh, Jesus is going to save us. And as somebody who was raised Baptist and all this, I've kind of understanding that if you pray to the wrong God, it's not going to save you. That you're basically kind of praying to your own curse sometimes. I mean, I want you guys to speak on that, like kind of give you a lot to speak on, but just, yeah, about, controlled religion and organized religion and stuff like that.
I saw
Sorry, I kind of gave you a lot there. My bad.
It's all good. I love that. I love it like
so
that.
you said Amistad refers more to the older version of white supremacy, but then you move forward and we still got that fight. We still trying to cut it out. And that is, it has a very strong representation in the movie called Get Out. And if you watch that movie, it makes you kind of have this like fear, hate to that line there. You're like, fuck it up.
Right.
But you can really see how things get real twisted in the world. Like, people are really being brainwashed into following what they're being told. And that's where you get those red and blue. That's red and blue right there. That's all that is. And then you got that blind spot right in the middle that's untouched.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And I mean, that's the same concept as religion. I mean, I think Killer Priest said for years religion did nothing but divide, and that's basically all it does. If you think about it, you have Black Christians, white Christians, brown Christians, Asian Christians. Okay, you're all Christians. You all go to churches, but you go to Baptist church, you go to Protestant church, you go to this kind of church, you go to AME Zion church. Okay, and for whatever reason, even though you're all learning from the same book and espousing your belief in the same system of belief, you have a problem with one another because you have one small difference that separates you from one another. And because of that one small difference, you don't convene together, you don't commune to feed your people, to take care of your communities. And realistically, okay, I'm about to get into some shit right now. I apologize if this takes a second, but
no, go ahead.
I have a thing about religion. I was raised in the church, in a Baptist church, sang in the choir and the whole 9 yards. My entire church was Black. The entire church was Black. 2 blocks away down the street was another Baptist church. Well, not the same size as my church, but that entire church was white. Not a single Black person went there. Not a single person of any other race went there. So My question was always when I was a kid, hey, if they're a Baptist church and we're a Baptist church, why don't we ever go sing at their church? Why don't they ever come kick it with us? Like, what is the problem? You know what I'm saying? But what I came to understand was through that religion, they are empowered by their religion. We are pacified and put into a place of servitude, of subservience by that same religion. So you can't take one religion. I ask my Black Christian friends all the time, let me ask you a question. What did the slave master ever give you that was good for you? Tell me that. If you can tell me one thing the slave master gave you that was good for you, I'll shut up. Oh, well, you know, Christianity, again, I ask you, what's one thing the slave master gave you that was good for you? Christianity was never good for you because Christianity taught you to observe God and observe the power that controls your life that looks like them. You were never told that Jesus looked like you. You were never told that God looked like you. You were never told that Moses or Joseph or none of these people look like you. So you believe that you're reading a story of someone else's history. And that is the story of the world that you live in that controls your existence. So now every time you look around and you're looking for help and you're looking for something to empower you, you don't look to your community. You don't look to your brother sitting next to you. You look to people that look like them. You never find that inner power because you always felt like the power came from somewhere else. So our religion is a destructive tool. I grew up as a Christian. I converted to Islam when I was 16 years old. During the time that I was in prison, when I got out of prison, somewhere between getting out of prison and now, I realized that I had outgrown that doctrine. You know what I'm saying? I could no longer literally call myself a Muslim. I have gay friends. No Muslim has gay friends. They stone gay people in Muslim countries. You know what I'm saying? I hang out with criminals. You know why? Because at the end of the day, people don't even understand the criminals really got it figured out. They don't follow the rules because the rules weren't built for us. They were built to protect the property of people who don't care about us.
Right.
Think about the laws on the books. How many of those laws are actually about people? The majority of the laws are about property.
Right.
Why are the laws about property? Because we couldn't own anything. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, like at the end of the day, man, all of those lines of demarcation, they all separate people from one another and keep us from being able to see that the system doesn't care about you. If you don't have money and if you don't have power, doesn't matter if you're black, white, brown, purple, polka dotted or whatever, the system does not care about you. Whether it's Democrat, Republican, Green Tea Party, the Libertarian Party, or Smokey and the Bandit Party, whoever it is, they don't care. I apologize. I gotta lose. The religion burns me, man, because people are so blinded by it. They refuse to see that they put themselves in a box that separates them from everybody who cares about it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, I totally. I mean, it's just especially. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I don't even know how to word it, but yeah. So religion, I've noticed, likes to divide people completely. It's just a line of division. I cut religion out completely because I noticed that Muslims and Christians use very similar books that both call Jesus the Son of God. Now, while they're doing that, they're still fighting amongst each other. You can't put a hardcore Muslim in the same room as a hardcore Christian because they're going to argue about who the real God is. And so I cut religion out entirely. And I focus on spirituality myself personally.
There we go.
Because if you look, there's over, I think it was 1,000 different spiritualities from the motherland that they call pagan. They just lump it all into one group. Say, yeah, you're pagan. Go ahead, pray to that tree. Go ahead.
Even though pagan more refers to Irish, Celtic, Germanic, Nordic. It doesn't refer to African religions, really. And I was gonna say, I'm kind of on that same boat as far as finding spirituality. I've got Islamic people. I've got Christian people, and I've got people that are trying to do different things. One thing I would say to you is that you should explore some of these religions that they took from us, like voodoo and hoodoo and stuff like that. Is something that, I mean, obviously I'm not dropping all my salt in that bucket, but I like some of those things that they do, and there's a lot of like real world applications that they were doing back then, and the fact that they were trying to use magic against depression, and it really helped in a sense, like what they were doing. And like you know, shout out to Lovecraft Country. I don't know if you guys seen that, but that is kind of very similar to how they're, you know, we used everything to be at where we're at now. Every single thing against us. We used rebellion, we used passiveness, we used magic, we used, you know, fleeting military tactics, everything, you know. So I would just tell you to, you know, look into some of those things. There's just a lot of cool history on it. And that's one thing that I kind of have found, especially in this pandemic too, just reading about it and how they always try to make it demonic. And they always try to make it like we were trying to summon demons and make crazy shit happen. And really, we were just trying to get out of the mix, like whatever that took, you know. And
I always tell people, just to add on to what you're saying right now, I always tell people, if white people told you it's bad for you, look into it deeper.
Yep.
Because they're probably it's probably something excellent for you. If they told you it's evil, look into it deeper, please.
Look at marijuana.
yeah,
Absolutely.
It was
Absolutely.
illegal because they thought black men were gonna rape white women.
Yeah. That and the paper processing plant pushed all kinds of different imagery because hemp paper would have been 1,000 times cheaper than tree paper, and it's replenishable. We ain't got to worry about deforestation, and it would have made them look bad. They would have lost it, so they just did this whole campaign. I just kind of ran off on a tangent there. Sorry about that.
No, for sure. No. So I was gonna say in 2021, just to kind of, you know, loop back. I know everybody's gonna want to hear this question, but you know, when you guys saw that looting and rioting and all that stuff at the Capitol building, you know, I'm just gonna say a quick little thing first.
Talking about the revolution.
I got maced. She got maced in the name of revolution. She couldn't take it. All right. I was gonna say that you know, the depiction of the word nigger, right? What they explained what it was. I'm just gonna say that's what I saw there.
By definition.
It was a gang. It was a gang. I said that other day. Gang of niggas just ran up to the Capitol.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel you, bro. I feel you 110%. That is, wow. I mean, a lot of people jumped out the window immediately. Was like, oh man, if that was us, blah, blah, blah. I said, first of all, let's be real about something. Throughout the course of history, we've learned enough to know we're not getting ready to do that. You know why? Because we know that we're going to die.
Yeah.
When the Panthers did it in 1967, that was one thing because they didn't see it coming. They never saw it coming. So it was like, oh, wow, wait, this is niggas on guns. Oh, shit. You know what I'm saying? But like in 2021, they're going to see you coming. And trust me when I tell you, the police aren't going to open the barricade and say, hey, black people, come on in.
Right.
That's never going to happen. So, I mean, for us to even, like, I haven't even attached too much of my own personal energy to that because I'm like, yo, I'm not even going to get into if that was us, we wouldn't have made it because we wouldn't do that. First of all, that's stupid.
You're right.
That's a death sentence waiting to happen, but they knew that there was no death awaiting them on the other side of those barricades, and that's the only reason they did it. There's no way that goes down the way it goes down without someone from upstairs making the call and say, hey, when they show up, just let them in. Don't shoot nobody. Don't do nothing crazy. Just let them in. You know, to find out as time progresses that there were so many high up people involved in organizing that particular event. And then to also see that no charges are being brought against those same high-powered politicians who were part of planning this event only solidifies for me what I already know. Factual. And that is, regardless of who's in the White House seat, white supremacy runs America. No matter the shade of skin of that person sitting in the vice president seat, white supremacy runs America. White mediocrity, as you said, I prefer that term much more. White mediocrity runs America. So therefore, in order for us to put that in a proper concept, we have to be able to say, hey, wait a minute. If white mediocrity runs America, there were white people in the Capitol building. There were white people coming into the Capitol building. There was never going to be any conflict there because they really represent the same thing. Right. You know what I'm saying? The whole act of the quote unquote revolution was simply to paint a picture for the people who were watching on cameras and watching on TV. That was fine. See, I'm a firm believer in politics is like wrestling. They want you to think they're fighting with each other. They kind of want you to think they don't like each other and they have a reason to beef. But in all actuality, as soon as the camera goes off, it's like, hey, bro, so check it. What we doing for dinner tonight? Like, hey, man, tell your wife I'll be over at 8. Like, you know what I'm saying? So we have to be aware enough to know that there's a game being played that we are not privy to because we are not in a position of power to be in the room where that game's rules are being made. However, if we pay close enough attention to how it affects our lives on a day-to-day basis, we begin to understand the rules of the game. All you have to do is watch the police. Watch how the police interact with the community, and you'll understand the rules of the game because the rules have to come straight down the chain. The police and people think that the Panthers and the police beef with each other because da-da-da-da-da. It's not because the police are killing people. That's got a part of it. It's not because the police are arresting the wrong people. That's a part of it. But the reality of the matter is the police are the only branch of the political tree that we get to see on a daily basis. I don't see it. I don't see the governor every day. I don't see senators every day. I don't see the president every day unless I see them on TV. But I see the police in live action every single day in my community. So if you watch how they interact with us, watch how they carry out their jobs, it'll tell you a whole lot about how the rules of the game are set up. You know what I'm saying? So how they deal with us is one thing. How they dealt with those people at the Capitol was a whole different thing. You know what I'm saying? It was a whole different thing. So, you know, that puts the rules of the game in play for you. You understand now, okay, that's the game we're playing. And now you can plan accordingly if you're really paying attention. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And yeah, to piggyback off that real quick, you know what? I don't even like calling them police anymore because the term police means to de-escalate. I call them government guardians. They just guard buildings, basically. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It's just funny that they, you know, it's just like, oh my God, a black dude selling crack cannot happen. But it's like white dude walking down the street with an AK-47. Hey, what's up, Jim? You know, like totally.
Want to take a selfie?
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I don't. Do you guys see that video about in Oregon where you know they tested that theory? Black dude had it holstered. White dude had it off of the hook, a straight AK, or not AK. It was semi-assault, some sort. And you know he had it on hand. They pulled up. They pulled around him. The white dude. You know, they escalated the situation. The dude was still angry with the gun. Hey, don't touch me. Hey, get off me. Black dude had it holstered. He literally had to get completely on the ground. Had it holstered, like on his back. Not like you can, you know, pull it out immediately. You have to pull it out and then aim. You know what I mean? Like, it just, you know, and obviously the black dude was more subdued because he knew, you know, he didn't want to die that day. He just wanted to prove something.
Yeah. I think Omali Yeshitela, who is the leader of the African People's Socialist Party, he said something very profound. If you know anything about Dead Prez, you heard it on their album. And I actually had an opportunity to see him give that same speech in person. The police become necessary in human society only when there's a split between those who have and those who don't. And that's why I like to tell people a lot of times, dog, racism is not the issue. Racism is a symptom of the issue.
Right.
The real issue is classism, but how can you take classism and turn it on its head? By the rich people turning the poor people against one another. So when you turn the poor people against one another, we're so busy fighting with each other, we don't realize that the only reason why we even have these problems is because we're poor. I'm not a quote unquote socialist, so to speak. In some ways, yeah, I agree with certain aspects of socialism. But I do believe that a redistribution of the wealth of this country is necessary. And it's only necessary because the people who are in power will never understand what their tyranny is doing to those below them until they have to experience some of it for themselves, or until we're in a position where they can't do it anymore. And I don't know, man. I think sometimes we ourselves created a division amongst each other simply by not taking a clear look at where we stand. Okay, wait, why am I fighting with JoJo down the street? He don't got nothing. I don't got nothing. Yeah. We both don't have nothing, but if we put our heads together, we can come up with an idea to get something. So in order to keep that from happening, you create all of these lines of division between poor people. Oh, you're black, you're white, or you're Mexican, or you're Puerto Rican. Oh, you're Mexican and Puerto Rican. Oh, y'all don't like each other either. Why? We speak the same language. Why do we not like each other? Like, what are you talking about? Right. So, think about something. You got black people in black neighborhoods robbing black people. You're a black man in a black neighborhood robbing black people because they also have nothing like you have nothing. So in all actuality, you have to create that same crime over and over and over and over and over again in order for you to reach any degree of prosperity. So therefore, you are now a terror to your community. You become a terror to your own community. And black on black crime is a fucking myth. And it's probably one of the most racist terms I've ever heard in my life. There's no such thing as black on black crime. It's basically just proximity crime. You're close to me and I need to commit this crime because I feel like I'm going to starve to death. So you just so happen to be the one right here.
Right.
You know?
Right.
By the same token, if I'm a black man that lives in a white neighborhood and I'm broke, guess what's going to happen? I'm going to rob white people because that's who's close to me.
Right. Right.
You know, we have to get beyond thinking inside. I heard a lot of people who call themselves activists, revolutionaries, but all of their concepts that they cook up are all still bubbling inside those same boxes. Until we hop out of the box and refuse to live by the lines that were created around us, there's no such thing as a border. When I go from Washington to Oregon, I don't say I'm going from Washington to Oregon. I'm just going south. This is all one big ass massive land. There's no fucking border. There's only borders because people told us there were. You know what I'm saying? Well, I wouldn't even know that it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon if nobody ever told me there was a such thing as 3 o'clock. I would just know going about my day and I'm progressing until the sun goes down so I can go to sleep.
Right.
Yeah. Brainwashing of people in this country is so thorough. I mean, so thorough. I implore people to read Huey P. Newton's writings. I implore people to read Frantz Fanon. I implore people to read Kwame Nkrumah, Kwame Ture, people who think outside of the box, because it's definitely going to inspire you to change the way you see the world. Read Asada Shakur's book, find out the real story about what happened to her and why it happened. You know, study Sonia Sanchez's poetry, very important. Gil Scott Heron, rest in peace. Please, please, I implore y'all, please do that, because as long as we keep our thoughts inside the box, we will forever be trapped. Forever.
Yeah.
Are you want to speak on that, brother?
Oh no, I was saying I agree.
No, I remember in middle school, you know, it was Black History Month, and they said, oh, you know, you pick from the handful of selected Black people that are notable for revolution. Now, and I'm with all of them. I'm not against none of Martin, Malcolm, you know, whoever, right? But you know, me being a rebellion at a young age, I was like, who can I find that's gonna really, the last poets, literally in middle school, yeah, they was not ready for that. They wasn't ready for that. I did one on Richard Pryor, I think too. They wasn't ready for that either.
I don't understand how revolutionary Richard really was, man. Yeah,
right.
That's wow. And you know, him and Huey were like this.
Right.
Richard and Huey were really tight. So like, yeah, man, that's crazy.
They wasn't ready for that. You know, they was like, oh, you know, another report on Rosa Parks. And Rosa Parks, you know, granted, she did her thing too, but I just think there's so much uncovered history. And you know, I didn't know nothing about no Marcus Garvey in middle school. I didn't know nothing about him, you know. And to what you were saying about Black people, you know, in the hood, or Black on Black crime or whatever, I feel like if you're Black and you're not for the advancement of Black people, no matter the diaspora, you're kind of a white supremacist.
Yes.
Like, yeah. I mean, it just, and I was having this conversation. I was on a Clubhouse meeting, and this girl was just literally trying to separate us, and black girl trying to separate everybody from their diaspora. Okay, you're Puerto Rican. You didn't go through the same struggle as, you know what I'm saying, Cubans, or as, you know, Nigerian Americans, or, you know, British, you know, Black Spanish, Black Irish, whatever. Like, I'm just like, you kind of sound a little sus, sis. Like, what are we doing here? Like, and this was like a day after the whole Capitol thing. So I was just like, what are we doing here? I mean, are we all just trying to figure? I don't know. Like I said, I don't care if you're Nigerian American. That doesn't matter to me. If you're Puerto Rican or, you know, anything, it doesn't matter. If you're not for the advancement of people, and especially people of color, then you're kind of on that side. I think it really comes to this whole thing, ascending to whiteness. Now, like, there's a difference between white people that are good, because I call white people that are good, I call them pale people, because they're not trying to ascend to whiteness. They're not trying to ascend to this glorious, heavenly, cloudy, up in the sky place, mythological place. It's not there. They're just people that see good and see bad, and they're this. And then white people are the people that ascend to this whole holier than thou situation. But yeah, sorry, you wanted to speak on that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So if you we start digging in and reading and all that, go back to the 60s, by 66 through about, I say about 64 is when it was most prominent. You notice that there's actually these alliances formed within POC groups. Like you got the Native Americans standing alongside Panthers and Muslims and Asians and etc. I mean, it goes on, and that's what we need to get back to, is standing together in solidarity, I believe is the accurate word here.
Solidarity is where the real power lies. And I wish people would understand that. It's not in, there can be 20 different organizations in the same city. And that's fine, because there's certain people who want to focus on certain things. I get it. So the purpose of your organization is you want to focus on getting Black people jobs with the city. Cool. Fine. I don't have a problem with that. Oh, your organization wants to focus on putting stop signs at, dog, I've never seen so many four-way intersections in any city with no stop signs as I've seen in Tacoma. This is ridiculous.
Wow.
But so, you want to focus on putting stop signs in the four-way intersections so the kids don't get hit by cars? Cool, do that. No problem. Oh, you want to focus on evictions? You want to focus? Fine, do whatever it is you're doing. But at the end of the day, we need to have one common principle that we all agree on. Because it's going to take a combined effort of all 20 of you organizations to bring this one thing that we need done to fruition.
Yep.
Because at the base of everything that all of these organizations are working for is one thing. We just want to be treated fairly. We just want to be equal. I don't want to be better than anybody. I've never wanted to be better than anybody. I don't want to be in a position to enslave white people. I've never wanted that. I don't want revenge. I just want liberation. And there's a difference between those two things. Now, in the concept of all of that, gaining that liberation may require some degree of what people may take as revenge, when in all actuality, it's simply a matter of speaking to people in a language they understand. When you created an entire country and created an entire culture inside that country based on violence and based on hatred, there's only one way that you're actually going to understand what I'm saying to you when it's all said and done. I can come to you and say, oh, we shall overcome. Oh, can we please have some? You're not going to hear me. You're going to have your hoes and your billy club and your dogs come after me. I can say, hey, fight the power. And you're going to have your cops pull out their guns and shoot everybody in attendance. But when I show up to the party and I got my gun out already, okay, now we're talking. You understand what I'm saying now, don't you? Okay.
Right.
Ooh, I'm glad we can speak the same language, because if you're French and I speak to you in Chinese, we are not communicating.
No.
If you're Black and you're from the hood and all you know is Ebonics, but I'm speaking to you in Old English, we are not communicating. If you're a cop and the only language you understand is the taser, the billy club, and the gun, and I'm telling you hands up, don't shoot, we are not communicating. You know, when we start communicating, when my gun is in your face and I'm saying, dog, I swear to God, if you kill anybody else in my community, I'm gonna take your head off.
Right.
Now we're communicating.
Accountability.
Exactly. You feel me? So it is our responsibility as Panthers, not only as Panthers, but it's the responsibility of every organization that says they are for the advancement of Black people to understand all of those other things you're doing are cool. It's great. You can go sit down in those offices and talk to those people about those things that you want to get done. Great. But out here on the street level, where we do the most of our recruiting, where we have the most of our impact, those things that you talk about in those offices is not communication on this level.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's why the imagery was always the Panthers with the gun, because they understand that. They understand military action. They understand people who conceptualize and plan things and strategize on a high level. They don't understand, oh, let's just go grab some bottles and go break windows downtown and burn some shit. They don't get that.
Right.
I understand it completely, but they don't get it. And that's why they're able to paint it to the masses as, oh, these outrageous people are out rioting and looting and they're destroying their own community. No, we're not, because we don't own none of this shit.
Right.
We're destroying your shit. But you want to villainize us because we're destroying your stuff, even though it's happening where we live. So I don't know, man. I apologize. I'm just very passionate is probably not even a proper word to use, but I'm just very, very in. I'm all in. That's all I can say.
Make
I'm
a
all
full
in.
point. If we burnt this entire neighborhood down right now, wouldn't nobody lose anything but the people that owned it, which ain't us.
Exactly.
Mm. I
Exactly.
mean, also, I think I understand burning down the Walmart, but it don't matter if you don't if you go to a Walmart 2 miles away to go shopping and you don't spend it in the black community, it doesn't mean anything either. So I mean, that's a part of the message, but then what's the next chapter? The next chapter is to support small local black owned, women owned, businesses, keeping the
Yeah.
money in your own hands or our own people's hands. um but I was gonna say, speaking on, you know 2020, 2021, what are some good things you guys have seen as far as like, you know especially you, Seven, growing up, and then as opposed to now, we do see a certain level of change too. What are some of the good things you've seen kind of in the last, I don't know, couple of years, or
Um,
in your times?
I think it's especially, and I'll say it's a lot of us have. I've seen a lot of it since I moved out here. I moved to Washington about 4.5 years ago. So like, a lot of what I see is that there's like back in the '60s and the '70s, there was a lot of white people who marched with black people. Then there was a point like in between all of that where it seemed like they were like, yeah, we don't really want nothing to do with that. We're just gonna stay over here in our nice little white bubble and be okay. But I love the fact that these young people are taking up the mantle and saying, nah, fuck that. This is just wrong. Like, I got a gang of black friends. They're not that guy, that white guy that says, oh, I have a black friend. No, I have a gang of black friends. I hang around nothing but black people. What are you doing? And when we went out there to protest for Manny, there was just as many of them as there was of us. When we went out there to protest in Seattle, it was just as many of them as there was of us. In some cases, there was more of them than there was of us. And that part is encouraging to me, because it lets me know that we're starting to get the concept that black people can't do this alone. There's no way that we can undo something we didn't do in the first place.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I love that, and I also love the fact that more athletes and people who are in prominent positions and that have eyes on them are becoming more vocal about the things they see. I am a Lakers fan. I was always a huge Kobe Bryant fan, was never much of a LeBron James fan until very recently, within the last 3 or 4 years. And it's because he opened that school and he started opening his mouth and saying, yo, I see what I see. You understand where I come from? Like, I come from nothing. And now y'all calling me king. And it's only right that I utilize my platform to empower people who come from the same place I come from. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And we gotta think, we went through a long period from Jim Brown and Muhammad Ali. We went through a long period where athletes just weren't doing that. They were quiet about everything. They just, they might have a little comment they may make on an interview here and there, but there was never anything like it is now. I think we utilize the social media in order to connect our cause is becoming great. It's a great thing, even though, of course, the feds are watching, but whatever, they watch everything. Who cares? At this point, what's the point of hiding? They already know what we're doing. So that part is empowering. And also, the kids that I see that are in school who are taking the initiative outside of school to read things that have nothing to do with what they're learning in school in order to know more, and their parents actually being active in that process is a beautiful thing, man. Because I said for many years, stop waiting for the school to teach your kid what you need them to know. You better tell them yourself. Because if you don't, you're going to have a 21, 22, 23-year-old kid walking around in this world with an entirely backwards concept, not only of who they are, but who they are in relation to this country that they live in, the world that they live in, really. People are traveling, even in the midst of a pandemic. I love it. I absolutely love it. And this is the perfect time to do it because there's not a bunch of people out. You can really explore what you're trying to explore without all of the distractions right now. I've been to probably 12 states since the pandemic started. You know what I'm saying? By myself.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And it's mainly just so I can go find out, hey, I've always wanted to know what it was like here. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to know what this thing is. What's that thing? Where did that come from? I'm about to go find out. And since there's nobody out, there's nobody here to distract me from doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So, all of those things are big to me, man. Like, they're huge. So I think that those are very empowering things that are happening. So many people getting into, like you're doing your podcast, there are more people who are getting into doing those type of things and spreading information to people who need to have it. So like all of that is love, man. Like the pandemic is not, I said the other day, a lot of people see the pandemic as a stoppage. I see it as an opportunity. And a lot of people are taking advantage of it. I love that. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So based on what he was saying, I make my son watch documentaries with me all the time. And I tell him all the time, knowledge is power. If you don't got knowledge, you ain't going nowhere. So, always seek knowledge. That's just my take on that there. Like,
Always.
I mean, knowledge is tangible when everything else, or it's an intangible tangible. It's something that you can make money on the fly if you know how to do a skill or you know how to research a skill, you know how to do something, and then you know how to market it to others. That's all you need to know how to do. And I think the knowledge, like I said, it's an intangible tangible. You might not have a computer, but you could still make money, or you might have is a computer. You can still find a way to make money. It's that knowledge that comes about it. And I was gonna speak onto something. It's the Kitchen Couch podcast, so I talk about food. I talk about and so part of my thing too, as far as our healing goes, I think the food that we consume is a really big part of why there's a lot of bullshit going on in our communities, in my opinion. I'm a vegan pescatarian, and I'm not trying to come from a holier than thou perspective, because everybody's got to find their journey, but I know for a fact that eating pork is a low vibration food. It's not gonna be able to advance you. It actually can separate your mind from your body. As far as if you're trying to connect it, eating swine is not a good way of doing that. And I've tested it. I've tested these things, meditating, and you eat certain things, it'll literally break your concentration, it'll break your focus, it'll make you tired. But I was just wondering, what kind of food do you guys eat, or what kind of places do you guys support, in Tacoma, Seattle, as far as restaurants go? I'm also working with the Seattle Black Pages right now to come up with a lot of restaurants. One of my favorite being Jabana Ethiopian Cafe in Northgate. It's one of my favorite takes.
Oh yeah,
Sits out there in front of Route 23rd.
Rooted.
Yeah, they do the food out there.
Oh, with Monty, yeah. Also, Rooted on 23rd and Union in Seattle. Every other Saturday they do a black business market, and they usually have people that own restaurants in Seattle out there. People from the art community that do paintings, things of that nature. So if anybody's watching in the Seattle area, they just had it this past Saturday, which was yesterday. So not this coming Saturday, but the next Saturday they'll be back out there. I got some fire jerk chicken from out there yesterday. So like as far as Tacoma goes, of course the Fish House Cafe is a prominent black business. It's been around for a really long time on the hill. Southern Kitchen is another black business.
That's my favorite one.
Now, mind you, I will say that some of these establishments don't serve what you would consider quote unquote health food. But there's also Quickie 2 on the hill, which is a vegan restaurant.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, Quickie 2 is really dope. And I'm not vegan or anything. Like I still love my cheeseburgers and my cheese pizza. But they have I would suggest the Mama Africa burger because it's banging. Oh my God,
that sounds good.
Oh man, yeah, it is awesome, man. And then the health part of it, man. Also at Rooted, if you go inside, you'll see that instead of having a poster of Malcolm or Martin, there's a picture of Dr. Sebi on the wall, and there's a reason for that because there's a very limited number of people who understand that our health is very uniquely tied to our ability to be liberated. Much like you said, what you eat has a major impact on not only how you function amongst yourself, but also how you function with other people. So that's something that we definitely need to pay attention to. I'm not gonna go too crazy with it because I'm not the most knowledgeable when it comes to healthy eating. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm still in the process of learning those things. So, but yeah, definitely Fish House Cafe, Southern Kitchen, Quickie 2. There's another one. Oh my God, I feel so bad that I don't remember. Oh my God, I feel awful right now. But even with that said, you'll be forgetting if you know that there's a black business, especially a black restaurant that serves healthy food, or even if if you're not into being a vegan or not into being healthy, if you just want to eat,
right.
Support black business, man. Support black business, and if you're a vegan or somebody who wants to support a black business close to you that doesn't sell what you eat, go talk to them.
Right.
Let them know if you had this on the menu, I'd come. You know what I'm saying? I have a gang of vegan friends that I could bring you so much money if you just serve these things.
Right.
And a lot of businesses are open to that, especially right now with the way things are going with the pandemic and everything. So Glorious.
Yep.
Black-owned bar and lounge and restaurant over on Pacific Avenue in Tacoma also. Yeah.
Glorious, nice. Okay, I'm gonna have to check some of these places out. You know, I'm a chef first, a vegan second. So, you know, every now and again, I will take a bite of something. Never pork, but I will take a bite of something every now and again. It's been few and far between, but especially if I know it's closest to farm to table as possible, and especially like made with love. There's something, you know, you could take shitty ingredients and make it with love, and it'll and I'm in my theory it'll be better than going to get fast food. There's
Yes.
something about the processing and the soullessness of the food and fast food that takes away from the soulful food of somebody hand making these things, preparing them for you and bringing it out. And one thing I learned, you know, that we don't own too many grocery stores, and we do own a lot of farms, but to make that transition, farm, grocery store, hands of our people, I think I I was just like, I need to learn how to start growing things. And so that's kind of one thing I started doing. I learned how to grow mushrooms. I learned how to grow, you know, different types of potatoes. I'm still learning chives, different things just to, you know, and I think as soon as I get the money, I'm investing in a black owned grocery store. I think that's like what we need, because we only have black owned, you know, corner stores or mini markets, which is fine, but we need to have that full 360. Like, and I'm pretty sure you've watched, you know, Killer Mike on do his thing when, you know, he tried to do the black owned business challenge. And I think that really woke me up just in a whole different way. I was like, wow, I didn't even think about that. And so just really thinking about how I spend my money, even when I, you know, as an entrepreneur, a black entrepreneur, I know that I might need to go shop at Amazon because that's going to have the cheapest deal, but I really have to be cognitive of what I am spending on there. And so I think a lot of times, like I encourage people to not spend with a lot of big business, right? But
Right.
sometimes you do, but that doesn't mean that you're off track. Like you spent a couple dollars at Walmart because you needed to get some for your blood sugar or whatever. That's fine, you know, but that doesn't mean your mission is lost because you did it that time. And there, you got to break every time. That means, okay, you slipped up or you had to do what you had to do. Keep going on that, you know? And I encourage also people to start platforms other than Instagram, Zoom, Facebook. We need more of these different platforms. Yeah, go ahead.
Have you heard of Black Enough yet?
No.
Is that black enough?
Yeah, but they spell it with G's instead of CK. Let me pull it up real quick.
Black enough. Oh, that's crazy.
It is.
I like that. Okay.
It is a very interesting platform.
It's like a social media platform?
Yes.
There's Fan Base is another black owned platform that it's kind of in the midst. It's right now building, but it'll pay you for how many subscribers you have, how many followers you have, how many people watch your live videos. So that's black owned company that, you know, it's right on the fringe of going opening on the stock markets right now.
Okay. That sounds like something worth investing in. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I do stock things, so I might invest in that as well as open a profile on there, because I mean, as a rapper, I mean, you kind of want to be in front of as many people as possible. So, you know, the
I
thing
didn't
I
know
have,
you made music.
yeah, I rap a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I rap a little bit. You know what I'm saying? You know, I noticed that, you know, there's a lot of times where we don't allow ourselves to reach out the way we need to. Between the Panthers and rap, I have the ability to reach so many people. Through rap, I have an opportunity to take the Panther message and spread it to so many people. As a Panther, I have the opportunity to take everything that I rap about and put it into action in the community. So, I mean, I think those two things are not, you know, they're not mutually exclusive. They very much work together. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I could be a quality Panther or a quality rapper without the other side. You know what I'm saying? Each of those things teach me so much about what the other side is supposed to be doing. That's it, black enough? Oh, that is so dope. I love
You
it.
see it? Oh,
Nope.
it's dope. Send me that link, man. On Messenger for
For
sure.
sure.
I'm trying to get my shit on every platform, just trying to make sure it's it's right there. And I guess the last question I wanted to get to you guys is, what could we do to help the situation and the narrative of us coming together in solidarity? How do we do that 2020 and beyond until infinity, as the mischiefs would say?
I said something in a song, and this is my one phrase answer to that. Which depth to your ego? Very simple. Which depth to your ego? Egos are the preeminent reason why we cannot come together. Because much like in hip hop, when you have a gang of rappers in the same area, everybody wants to be the man instead of everybody saying, hey, you know what? This guy has the best chance of making it. Let's all get behind him, push him up. As we push him up, just throw the rope back. That's all we ask.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And then you have to understand your position and be willing to play your position. You can't be a 390-pound, 6'7" dude and want to be the quarterback. No, I'm gonna need you to block somebody, okay? Can you get over there and block somebody? You're trying to play out of position right now. So I mean, you have to be mindful of all of that, man. So which depth to your ego? Don't ever think that you're bigger than the people, and that will solve a lot of our problems as far as unity is concerned, in my opinion.
To add to that, I think as well, misogyny needs to be removed. Homophobia needs to be removed. Transphobia needs to be removed. Melanin phobia needs to be removed. I don't know the exact word.
Colorism.
Yeah.
Yes.
All the way live. Yeah.
And I think that would be a great first step.
Thanks.
I like that colorism thing because I go by the light skin Bourdain because it's kind of a play on a lot of times I am the black Bourdain. I'm the light skin and I'm the same. It's the same, right? But it's like if I were to be like, oh, I'm the black Bourdain, I've gotten people to make fun of me, poke fun of me, be like, oh, you light skin as hell, and so I just kind of poke fun. Hell yeah, I'm light skin as hell, whatever. Like, and that doesn't mean I think I don't. And when I say that, I'm not talking. Oh, I'm pretty light skin. I hate that shit. You know what I mean? Oh, I think all shades. I've seen all shades be beautiful. I've seen all different type of women be beautiful. So I think just to keep that in mind, I don't want to be like I'm pretty light skinned. I just don't. I hate that shit. I hate it so much. I don't like it. So I'm saying we gotta end our division. And speaking on that Willie Lynch letter, we really gotta end that. That it's division. It's divisive, and it's like you said, poor people arguing amongst poor people because we both ain't got nothing. So let's put ourselves together and get some bread and make a change.
Yeah.
My saying is do what you can, when you can, how you can.
Oh, I like that. Might need to put that in play. Yeah, need to put that in play. Yeah, most definitely. That's that sounds like something powerful to share with the community, man. Because a lot of people feel powerless. You know what I'm saying? They feel like there's nothing they can do, so they're waiting for the Panthers or the NAACP or somebody to come save the day. And it's like, oh, it's 50 of y'all living in this neighborhood. Like, why are you waiting for us? Like,
right.
Put your together. You got this, man. But
right.
sometimes you have to have a proper training and everything, and that goes back to the whole educating the community thing. We have to do that. So, man, I don't even want to. I really realistically, I feel like we could do this all day long, but we are actually late for PE class right now. So
definitely, yeah, we're gonna have to schedule that Rooted interview live and in person. And
yes.
Anybody, and before I go, you guys want to shout out anybody, any businesses, anything before I go?
Salute to Rooted, of course. Fish House Cafe on the hilltop. Shout out to wow, I almost forgot exactly what I was going to say. My bad. Shout out to all Panthers worldwide. Whatever your affiliation with the Panther Party is, shout out to all Panthers worldwide, and shout out to everybody fighting for the liberation of Black, brown, and other people of color.
All power to the people.
All power to the people. All day.
Hey, blessings to you guys, and thank you guys for fucking with me. I appreciate it.
Oh, anytime, man.
100%.
Anytime. I'm gonna have to come back on and kick it with you about the music sometime.
Definitely.
I got a quote for you that goes back to what we were just saying, and it's actually by Huey P. Newton himself. Said the task is to transform society, and only the people could do that. Not heroes, not celebrities, and not stars.
Thanks.
That's factual. All right, guys. You guys have a blessed day.
You too,
Blessed
family.
day.
One love.
Thank you. One love.
We out.